All right, getting to some University of Hawaii football. Again, our conversation and expanded coverage of Hawaii football is proudly brought to you by Honor Box, Chiropractic, and Slice of Waikiki. So mahalo for all of their support. And yeah, it's pretty much pedal to the metal, as you guys know, just getting out as much content as we can with you. We want to focus a little bit more on the Stanford side today. We'll get into hearing Coach Tavita Pritchard in just a little bit. We touched on Stanford a little bit on Monday, but one thing that we will ask, or that was asked of Coach Pritchard, is just the overall Polynesian tie. I also saw on Stanford's social media, they actually are unveiling like the Polynesian on their helmet and everything. Everybody wants to be Hawaii, and I understand there are
the same thing that
Polynesian. Yeah, there's a lot of Polynesian representation, so I don't want to get away from that. Where it's like, okay, I understand you have players there, but it is a little bit where you're just like, man,
I think we reserve I feel like the right,
University of Hawaii.
We reserve the right to roll our eyes at it, right? I say we as if I am, natural born Hawaiian and all this stuff. This little transplant who just
you're one of us now,
but nonetheless,
you're a Kanaka Hali. That's what
the meme. It's we're rocking with Mark because Mark is rocking with us. That's me to the Hawaiian people.
You're like, yes.
But no, I roll my eyes not because it's like they're not. You're not allowed to do it.
Because again, it's not like they don't have a lot of Polynesian representation on their team.
Specifically, like Hawaii people too. They got multiple Punahou guys. We'll forgive them for that.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I think they only have 2 Hawaii people, and
both Punahou.
I'll let you guys take a guess. What school do you think they went to? Both of them, now that they're at Stanford. I know Paul just gave it away, but it would have been funny to be like, what school do you think they went?
But yeah.
Punahou.
It's one of those.
You will have to bring your own table.
I chuckled at it because every time I see anybody, because I thought the same thing with Cal, who has like, I don't even know, 33 people from Hawaii on the roster, it feels like at this point. I just chuckle at it. They are cool helmets, by the way, and I think they're wearing like red face masks for the first time in however long and whatever. So they will look very cool, and we've talked about it before. Look good, play good, feel good, or look good, feel. So I do hope that maybe they don't look that good, and maybe the renderings are just a little bad.
There is actually, and I want to explain this a little bit, and then we'll get to the audio of Coach Pritchard, their head coach for the Cardinal. But it is, so once again, the game is at Stanford, just like we have here in Hawaii. Other schools have their game themes. So fittingly so, their game theme for their home opener is actually Pacific Islander Heritage Celebration. So it's not like they're doing the San Jose State where it's just like all day, every day. It's like they want to be Hawaii so bad.
Hawaii Junior.
So it is, they kind of have all this merch with the Polynesian ties, which is really cool.
When you're going against Hawaii as well, because you're probably going to capitalize on a lot of different Polynesian folks who are going to want to come out to support anyway, plus their head coach. It makes sense.
But it doesn't mean we don't have to.
But I can still roll my eyes at it.
So it is a Pacific Islander Heritage Celebration and Cardinal Kids Day this Saturday for that opener, a home opener for Stanford, again, playing the University of Hawaii. I've mentioned this before, but I want to highlight it. Yes, it's just fitting because you do obviously have 2 head coaches that have Polynesian descent, Coach Timmy Chang with the Hawaiian side and Coach Tavita Pritchard of the Samoan descent. So that's kind of a tie in itself. Only 2 of 4 FBS Division I head coaches that have Polynesian descent. Obviously, Kenyo Matalolo at San Jose State. And then
our boy. Well, not our boy.
No,
Caesar's boy.
Kalani Sitake over there at BYU, right? Those are the 4 head coaches that are, again, FBS level head coaches for football. But that's the representation that they have there. So it does, roll our eyes at it a little bit, but totally understand.
Makes sense.
Happy, of course, there's a lot of Polynesian people in California. It all ties together. So
listen, I'm never
but
going
we can
to
chuckle about it a little bit.
fully poo-poo the celebration of Polynesian culture. I think it's always cool. This is definitely different than if a school, say in like New York, just tried to randomly toss this in. No. California, Stanford specific, fine. It makes sense.
Like as much as you love Ithaca, it's like if Ithaca College was like, let's have Polynesian night. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So before we get into the whole conversation about Stanford football and kind of the players to watch, so I do want to let you guys hear first from their head coach, Tavita Pritchard, and what he had to tell the media yesterday. And actually kind of just starts with him. Well, it starts with his opening statement, and then he gets asked about the heritage and the ties and how big this Saturday is outside of just the game itself, of course. So here is Stanford head football coach, Tavita Pritchard.
All right. How's everyone doing? We are here at game week against the University of Hawaii. Our guys are excited. We had a great training camp and we accomplished a lot. We developed, we grew stronger and closer as a team. And we were ready for this first challenge against this very adept and formidable UH team that we know we're going to have to play a really clean, good physical football game against.
Hi, Coach. Given your Polynesian background, how important is it to play this game honoring Pacific Islanders, especially against Hawaii? And do you have much of a connection with Hawaii?
Yeah, Stephen, it'll be a special incentive in that we get to honor so many people in our community, in the Pacific Islander community, and that's something that is near and dear to my heart. Of course, being a Samoan American myself, and I do think of it in the lead up to the game, I guess the motivation that comes along with that, and the fact that we get to do it against Hawaii, and they have so many players of Polynesian descent and Pacific Islander descent on their team. Obviously, Coach Timmy Chang, who's got some Pacific Islander roots as well. I remember my relationship to UH is the season, my junior year season my senior season, I went on an official visit to Hawaii when Timmy was still playing. And so I got to see him play. They played Michigan State at home in Aloha Stadium. And I got to see him go off and send those guys off with a win in his senior year. And so, yeah, I got a special connection to Timmy. And I've got to kind of watch him. I got a ton of respect for him through his playing and coaching career. But this game does give you a little bit of extra juice in the lead up and in the preparation for it. But when the whistle blows and the ball is snapped and kicked off, it's going to be football, and that's how we're going to approach it.
Yeah, just kind of thoughts on Hawaii, some of the challenges that they pose.
Yeah, offensively, it's your kind of, I shouldn't say traditional because Timmy's put his own spin on it, but whether you categorize it as run and shoot or spread or air raid, it has elements of all that. But on offense, like they want to spread you out and they want to find space. And that's both in the passing game, but they also do it in their ability to run the football out of those same sets. And so I think our challenge is going to be the ability to play in space, the ability to constrict the pocket, constrict the ball carrier, constrict those throwing lanes, because what I know about those great offenses and that way of attacking our defense is like we're gonna have to be really sound in our coverage approach, in our rush lanes, because this quarterback, I mean, he does a great job of playing on time, but when he does have to buy time, he does a good job of that too, in keeping his eyes down the field. And so that's on the their offensive side of the ball. On defense, I was just talking with somebody else about this, but they play extremely hard and they play physically. And that's something that we're going to have to match and meet and exceed that physicality and intensity because, they play with their hair on fire. And that's clear about that group. There are some new faces that we anticipate seeing on their defensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, what's been clear, even when you watch kind of their body of work from a year ago, is that staff has those guys playing with a personality. And that's something, like I said, that we're just going to have to match from the first snap of the game to the last. And then on special teams, they're extremely sound. It's clear that that unit, they've been well coached, and I think especially in this first game, there are more games in the first week that are lost than are won. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of mistakes that can happen in all your phases, and so much for us. And I think about special teams is your ability to be sound, right? Sound in protecting when we're on punt, sound in covering when we're on kickoff team, sound in our return schemes, and then obviously sound when we're lining up for field goal and field goal block. And so when I think about the special teams, a lot of the focus will be on us. A lot of the focus will be on about our ability to play cleanly and play with great fundamentals and soundly.
And that was Stanford head football coach Tavita Pritchard in the media availability yesterday. Again, there's a lot more of that, but I just kind of some of the main snippets that were said and that were made available.
Make him sound bad.
Yeah. Even though he sounds great.
Yeah,
but you guys can, if you are curious, you can listen to the whole thing on the Stanford YouTube channel. They also had a couple of players available, including their quarterback in Davis Warren. Fun fact, though, that, by the way, I should make sure I mention this. We did get the official game notes, but I want to make sure everybody knows that no surprise here that neither team released a depth chart. I texted Paul and Michael I'm kind of bummed that, because usually Hawaii will put out some kind of depth chart, and I'm kind of bummed because even though we're more aware that like it is half true most of the time, especially for some of your position receivers and certain positions on defense, just entertain us. But I get it. So both teams did not release any depth chart. So I want to make sure we let everybody know that in case they're waiting for us to talk about that. The closest thing Stanford did release is that they had which I do wish Hawaii kind of did that and made it easy, where they had basically the starters for each game last year, including making it bold, like which person was starting like in their first game. So I thought that was really helpful looking over the Stanford game notes, because it is nice to be kind of have that reminder on how the games went and who started where. But yes, no depth chart released. And yeah, we just have to be surprised come Saturday afternoon. But Davis Warren is kind of a fun connection in case people forget, because even I did. It was only during that media scrum when I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Tsai that asked about if he remembers playing against the University of Hawaii, because we talked about it before. So the starting quarterback for Stanford, he is a transfer from Michigan. And if you guys recall, a few years ago, Hawaii went to play in the Big House. They lost 56-10. It was a very, JJ McCarthy was a starting quarterback at that time.
It was the year that they won the national championship.
Yes.
So I would hope that Hawaii, in the early throes of Timmy Chang's career, was going to lose to the national champions.
Yes. So that was back in 2022. Again, JJ McCarthy was a starter for Michigan at that time. But Davis Warren did come in the kind of like in the later half of the third quarter in that game. At that point, Michigan was up 42-3. So hence why he went in there. But he was actually like kind of trading snaps with another quarterback, actually, with CJ Stokes. He went, Davis Warren went 2 for 4, so only attempted 4 passes for 65 yards and a rush for 11 yards. Once again, just kind of was in and out there. But shout out to Tylan Hines. That was the lone touchdown that Hawaii did put on the board against Michigan, was that 54-yard run by Tylan Hines at that time. So I think that was like such a happy moment for him, something that he can like remember forever in the packed Big House, again, 100,000 capacity that it is at Michigan. And I just remember, like he's in the end zone and like all these fans. So, but that is kind of the interesting tie in there when it comes to their quarterback and Davis Warren with being able to actually somewhat play against Hawaii and Timmy Chang. I think another interesting fun fact when we talk about the Hawaii side too is that I want to make sure to mention it. And I know Christian Shimabuku of Aloha State Daily had posted about it as well. But just real quick on the Hawaii side before I forget, that's why, is that Timmy Chang now is going into his 5th year. Yep. So he will officially be right up there with June Jones once the game starts on Saturday, which is so wild to think about, that we've gone through all of these coaches with Norm Chow, Nick Rolovich, Todd Graham, that you're just like, man, Timmy Chang will be actually coaching in a 5th year.
Yep. Remember, I had that at some point over the summer.
Did.
Not.
I remember you brought it up,
but something along that same tenor. And it is one of those. It speaks to what Timmy has done here, where it's not as though there are head coaches in the stretch there. Like, obviously, there have been some down years. There have been some whatever nightmares, but it's not like it was just this total horrible time between June Jones to Timmy Chang. But guys leave, you know, or
Nick
guys will eventually wear out their welcome and they got to retire early or whatever.
Greg McMackin. Sorry, Coach McMackin. Actually, Sorry, Coach McMacken. I was like, I'm missing a coach in between there. Duh, how do I miss the one that was right after June Jones? Coach McMacken. Okay, continue. I just wanted to make sure I said that.
But no, it's very, very cool for Timmy, and it speaks to him as a man. It speaks to him as a coach. It speaks to him on many different levels, the growth in which he has shown since that first year in 2022 against Michigan and all of that stuff. And also, by the way, I should clarify before, that Michigan, the core of that Michigan team went on to win the national championship the next year. I did not in 2022. Those are two different seasons. I do want to make sure everybody knows that. But even so, yeah, I wanted to talk about Davis Warren because Davis Warren, I'm a little back and forth on, right? Because one, if you don't know his story, you should look it up because he, as a human being, is everything that you want to root for. Like everything you want to root for. Was diagnosed with leukemia his junior year of high school, worked his Michigan, made the Michigan roster, eventually won the starting job the year after they won the national. And he beat out Alex Orji, who, by the way, is at UNLV and is competing for the starting job there. Would be very funny if 2 weeks in a row. Just a little thing there. He also then tore his ACL at the end, played in the game since. I'm going to tread lightly here because Michigan, I mean, opponents in the country, like that schedule that they play is absurd. But if you do look at he was the guy, the starter for Michigan. Thing that you're like, right? Where, and I have it right here, where in 2024, for his ACL, threw for 1,199 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's a 64% completion percentage, about 5.7 yards per attempt on his completion. So he's not somebody who you're going to sit there and you're like, man, he is going to tear you up with his arm. But he does strike me as a quarterback who is more than capable of being fully in control of the offense. He is somebody who is happy to gardening it. And he has benefited in the past from having a high quality rushing attack, which is something that I have my eye on for Stanford this year as well. When we're talking about the actual preparation in itself, I do think that it's important for Hawaii to make sure that if Davis Warren beats you, then Davis Warren beats you. You know, that's, I think, the crux of what I'm trying to get at here is this is a young man who has fought tooth and nail for his career. He deserves every opportunity. Also, very smart undergrad at Michigan and then, grad at Stanford. Those 2 degrees will take you everywhere in life, young man. But that being said, it's like, this is a guy who, if you're asking him to beat you, I don't know if he has that capability. Here, I'll go through going back to his time at Michigan as that starter. I'm going to not count the games where he's going against Texas or Michigan State, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, Alabama. By the way, he did beat Ohio State. He, quote unquote, Michigan beat Ohio State with him as the starter. So I don't want to sit here and say he can't lead you to a victory. He's very capable of that. But if you force him to be the guy, have to make incredible throws, etc., I do think that it's capable to beat a team who's led by him. In 2 games that I want to look at, against Fresno State and against Arkansas State, those feel relatively comparable to where Hawaii is right now. 2 teams who were expected to compete for towards the top of their conference or whatever it may be. Against Fresno State, 15 for 25, 118 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That was a 30-10 victory. Okay. Great defense of Michigan helped him out. Great rushing attack helped him out. Still gave away the ball once. In a 28-18 victory against Arkansas State, he was 11 for 14 for 122 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So technically, he didn't have a pass that touched the ground that day. He was 14-14. Just 3 of those passes went to the other team. So what I'm getting at here, he is somebody who has shown that he will give a couple of opportunities to make plays on the ball, and it'll be important for the new Hawaii secondary to make plays on the ball when they are there because if we want to go down further as well, like there are question marks about who in the wide receiver room he'll be able to lean on right away, because similar to Hawaii, they have some new faces in there or some unproven faces in there that you're curious. Talent is definitely there. But it's,
IQ, definitely there.
right. But there's a difference between talent and IQ and then actually producing on the field. And that's what I'm curious to see.
Yeah, and I think also I should kind of emphasize that Davis Warren, clearly we talk about a new head coach, but the Tavita Pritchard is a former quarterback. Obviously, we know we talk about Andrew Luck all the time as well. Stanford alum, just like their head coach in Tavita Pritchard is a Stanford alum and a former quarterback. And I think it has to be said that this is someone that was brought in by this current coaching staff, right? So we don't necessarily have a situation like Timmy did. And again, we love Braden Shager and everything he contributed, but Timmy did not start off with a quarterback that was his guy in the offense that he wanted to run. He was recruited by a Todd Graham for Todd Graham's style of offense that he ran. Right. So when you're looking at what Stanford can put together, again, they are, and we'll get to the running game in just a little bit, because they are more, as Hawaii fans and some people that are going to consume this game should be a lot more worried about the running attack by Stanford versus the passing attack in this game. However, you do need to point out that this Davis Warren, and you mentioned there, at least he does have some ability, but he's not a scary dual threat. We're not looking, I always go back to that Vanderbilt game because we just could not contain their quarterback at Vandy. So we're not looking at that situation when it comes to Davis Warren. However, when you look at just the coaching and you're bringing in someone specifically for this offense who has experience and obviously has the IQ, that's where you can get a little bit like, all right, well, maybe he will produce when he is at Stanford. Or we said it before and I'll say it again. This is a good time that Hawaii is facing the Stanford team, because I think they will do better than in conference. As it goes on. Like, I do believe that this team will get better. But it works out for Hawaii that they get to face them first off the bat when it's like new head coach and they have to kind of figure things out as they go, kind of reacting to what Hawaii throws at them. Similar to Hawaii, and even though they played Stanford last year, they don't know what to expect because this is a new coaching staff. So that's why this game, and as much as I'm like, yeah, Hawaii in the over, I do believe. I don't know.
You could tell me any variety of things are going to happen.
You could tell me Hawaii blows them out. I'm like, yeah, I thought that. You could tell me Hawaii wins by like 1 point. I know it's kind of rare that happens, but I'll be like, yeah, I can see that. You can tell me Hawaii gets blown out. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. It's just, I don't know what to expect if we're being honest. But yes, the running attack. Because Hawaii doesn't exactly have bring you confidence in their history of being able to stop the run. Micah Ford is an animal.
He's very, very good. Also a New Jersey guy. So, from the Northeast, what can I say? I'm a little bit biased there, but he is a bruiser, a true bell cow back. And he's one who I really think can make this game difficult for Hawaii. If today, what one of my biggest keys to victory for Hawaii would be, it is that they have to key in and shut down the rushing attack for Stanford. I'm not saying that that's going to be Micah Ford has 20 carries for 50 yards. I think that would be absurd. But what I am saying is that I thought they did a relatively nice job last year against Hawaii. He ends up going for over 100 yards, but it was on 26 carries. He did have the touchdown. He had to work for everything. And if you are capable of doing that, if you are capable of making Stanford have to really ground and pound and really, really fight for it, or they have to maybe eventually go to the air, and that's something else that we can talk about, then all of a sudden I feel better for Hawaii. But if Stanford's able to take an early lead in this game and then rely on that rushing attack, it's going to make life a lot more difficult on Hawaii. Micah Ford is a bruising back, a guy who it wouldn't shock me if he flirts with 1,000 yards rushing this year, where he runs hard. He's got good vision. He's not huge in the passing game, but he still can hurt you in the passing game as a receiver. He is, if I am going to mark one true X factor on the offense, he is the guy who could completely flip the game, in my opinion, for Stanford against Hawaii, just because of what the physical nature he brings, along with his athleticism, out of the backfield. And that's the big question mark, because if you shut him down and you shut down the rest of the running attack, because I doubt he will be the only one who gets a carry in this game, then it goes back to what I was just saying before. Then all of a sudden, the onus falls on the shoulders of Davis Warren. Hey, you have not played in an organized football game in over a year. You're coming off a torn ACL, and it's a new system. Can you win your first game? That's a big ask of a guy. Anybody, I don't care who you are. So that is part of what my thought process is there. He's the one that scares me most. 6 foot, 225 pounds. He's built, I mean, like a Ford truck. He'll run over you.
Wonder if he has NIL from
I'm
that.
sure that if not, I mean, what a failure.
How much do we know about their defense that can pose and potentially stop this Hawaii offense?
Good news. I have another page of notes.
Because I'll say it again, because it's like, I still think, like, no, we talked about this on Monday. The biggest question mark for Hawaii is special teams. The second biggest question mark, and not far behind, is the defense, especially the secondary, because Hawaii lost a lot of their veteran talent, right? So when we talk about Davis Warren coming in there and playing his first game in a long time and all of that stuff, well, I mean, he's going up against a defense that we don't know is as solid in that secondary as it has been the last couple of seasons, where you're like, all right, you know, there were times when, like, say, Cam Stone, like, you never throw to that side because he's just going to shut you down, right?
You felt like
you
have
have
at least
somebody.
had one guy.
Now there's a massive question mark, so they could have potentially those opportunities to pass and be able to spread out their offense and utilize the run. But at the same time, I have the confidence that I do in Hawaii to be able to at least cover, because I just feel like this offense that Hawaii is putting together has put together with Micah Alihado being healthy is, I mean, we're reminiscent to the old days, right? To that explosive and the fun offense that we get to see, right? Like, just score more points than the other team is basically how it was back in the day when Hawaii was winning all of these games. Like, yeah, okay, the defense let up, Hawaii scored over 40. So that's how it went. But like, what are we looking at when we look at this defense that we could potentially see by Stanford?
That's a good question. They return a pretty good amount of talent from last year, if we're just being honest. And that is part of the reason if you do have concerns about this game for Hawaii, I would understand, because they do, despite having a new coaching staff, they brought back a lot of their highly talented players. We talked a lot about how Hawaii was good at retention. Stanford also very good at retention.
Those people are actually there for school.
This is true. 60% of their snaps from scrimmage last year are returning, which that's total. Defense, offense, special teams, boom, 60% of the guys who played like legitimate snaps last year. So they do have some sort of experience, and a lot of them do remember that game last year. Matt Rose is the big one that you have to bring up when you're talking about the Stanford defense. He is, in my opinion, their best player. He is a special linebacker who can go sideline to sideline, who is just very good when it comes to pursuit of the football. He's able to lay into you. He looks like a linebacker when you look at him on the Stanford roster. He had 13 tackles against Hawaii last year, 2 for a loss and 1 sack as well, a full sack against the Rainbow Warriors. I expect him to be active once again in this one, where I just wouldn't go across the middle of the field all that much if I was Hawaii. I'll just put it like that, you know. They bring back a large portion of their secondary as well, and it's a different coaching staff. So I'm curious, does it take a little bit of time to get the feel of what the defensive coaching staff wants them to do? They bring back guys like Brandon Nicholson and Scotty Edwards, Jay Green, who was an honorable mention, all ACC honorable mention at safety last year. So their defense, the stat that stuck out to me most was their defense in the red zone last year, and that is something that I do want to talk about here, where they only allowed touchdowns on 50% of opposing opportunities in the red zone, which you might hear that at first and you're like, giving up a touchdown 50% of the time? No, 50% of the time that opponents got the ball within the 20-yard line, they got it within the end zone. Otherwise, they either didn't get any points or they had to kick a field goal, which by the way, is a very, very big win for defenses like that. And this, you bring up special teams, the question marks that we have about special teams. My belief is that Hawaii has to get into the end zone in this game. You cannot play the, we'll trade 3 here, we'll trade for 3 here, and whatever it may be. Because if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if it is as certain as it feels that it was last year. And that also said, on the road, you know what wins? Touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you're not going to kick any field goals. I'm not saying that you might not get an opportunity for another walk-off field goal win or whatever it may be. But if you really expect to beat Stanford on the farm, you got to get into the end zone against this defense, which is exceptionally good at bowing up. And the term is always bend, don't break. That is the motto, it seemed like, for this Stanford defense last year. So a long-winded way of answering your question. I expect the Stanford defense to be good, but I expect the Hawaii offense to be great this year. So it's one of those things that we're going to get a real test for the Bows early on with guys who are, quite frankly, bigger than them.
Yeah. I also want to make sure we point out when it comes to the coaching, we're always braggadocious, right, about Dennis Thurman, the defensive coordinator here at the University of Hawaii, experience as an NFL player and as an NFL coach. Stanford, they kind of got a similar guy on the other side.
They
that
also
is
got
their
a USC quarterback.
Yeah, their defensive coordinator is a guy that actually came from the NFL ranks most recently. He is also a former NFL player, right? Like, so they have someone with those eyes that are in charge of their defense as well, because we've seen what Dennis Thurman can do with this defense, with that NFL experience he has. And that's where I'm like, all right, well, this defense, I think for Stanford, especially with the returnees, and we talk about, again, their high IQ that I'm pretty sure it's easy to stereotype that they do have and assume that these guys can pick things up a lot quicker. But yeah, 13-year NFL coaching veteran in Chris Richard there for the Stanford as their defensive coordinator. But his coaching extra 3 seasons as the DC of the Seattle Seahawks.
Is that good? Do they do anything? I can't remember.
I feel like they've been pretty good and kind of known for their defense. Also played corner in the NFL for 6 seasons, stints with the Seahawks and the 49ers. So yeah, like I said, as much as we are braggadocious about our defensive coordinator, as we should be, you have to also give credit where credit is due on their defensive side of the football, where this offense is going to have themselves quite a test, and what an early on test. Again, like I keep saying, this works out perfectly for Hawaii in that it is the first game for this coaching staff, for all of themselves as a unit, because I do think Stanford is going to be a lot better. I'll say it again as the season goes along and as things start to gel a little bit more. But Hawaii, which people be listening to the show because the line moved in a point and a half.
I was going to say, did it
in the
move
same
again
day.
yet?
It did not move, but on Monday morning when I kind of made the call, Hawaii in the over, Hawaii was getting 5.5, and then when I was getting to posting on social media that afternoon, I was like, let me double check the line. The line had already moved to Hawaii now getting only 4 points. So if you didn't get in on the 5.5, it's 4 now still. So that's kind of where it's sticking right now. The total is still 48.5. Hawaii is plus 145 on the money line. Stanford at minus 175. Odds via BetMGM. So it feels like it's kind of going to stay there. By the way, I should mention that now that so I don't forget. If, all of our friends that enjoy our national programming, to kind of celebrate week 0 and the kickoff for Hawaii football season coming up this afternoon, live from Waikiki, our friends, Matt Humans and Tim Murray. So if you guys, a lot more expertise than we do when we talk about lines here. Broadcasting live from Hawaii this afternoon, 1 p.m. Hawaii time. You can tune in on Hawaii Sports Radio Network. So yes, it has moved, but Michael Iscarroll, doing Michael Iscarroll things and going with Stanford.
That's okay. So the thing is, we need the pessimist the same way we need the optimist. The positive Paul, we need the negative Michael. I wish I had some better alliteration there. MM would have been better in some way. Miserable Michael, but no, he's not really miserable. He's just kind of like I don't know. He calls it how he sees it. He's like Alan in a sense.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like, you don't have to agree, but I don't think he's unfair in his reasonings and whatever. And we've kind of gone through it in this. I'm still a believer that Hawaii, and part of it is because, and I've been on record saying this, I have a belief that this can be a really special year for Hawaii. And if that's going to be the case, you have to win this week against Stanford. It sets the tone for the entire season where you go on the road. It would be a P4 victory. First time since 2018 that would happen, right? So it's that Arizona victory that was circulating on the timeline.
Yes.
It's one of those. I look at it as almost this. I don't even know how to describe it. It is a massive week 0 game, and I don't want to put too much pressure on it because it's not like you can't recover if you lose.
Exactly.
It's a non-conference game. Stanford is P4. They should be favored. They have more resources. They have a quality staff. They are the home team. All of these things. 100% get it. 100% get it. But if Hawaii is supposed to be who we think they should be, or can be, I guess, not should be, that's not necessarily fair, then they need to come out and win this game. I don't care if it's by 1 point, if it's by 10 points, if it's by 5 points, if it's by 50 points. You got to come out and find a way to win a game against a program that I do think is on the up and up. I don't know, man. I saw some stuff when Tavita Pritchard was hired where people were kind of like, what? Like, what kind of hire is this? I am a believer in a sense of he's already worked at Stanford. He was their offensive coordinator there before. 2 of the quarterbacks that he recruited were Tanner McKee, who is somebody who unfortunately I've talked about as a potential Jets starter before. Tanner McKee or Davis Mills, both of whom have had pretty solid backup careers in the NFL. So in my mind, that shows, all right, this guy knows at least the basics of how to set the foundation for a quarterback to play well, to see the field well. And like we've talked about before, there are question marks with the Hawaii defense. Are they going to be able to live up to the standard that they set last year? A lot of new faces. Will they be able to hit the ground running, or is it going to take a little bit of time to get the engine into gear? These are all fair, legitimate questions. I look at, as we're closing up kind of the Stanford conversation, I will say, I'll go back to their offense. I expect their defense to just be good. It's going to be a battle between the Hawaii offense and the Stanford defense. I think the question marks for both teams are on the other side. The question mark is, can Stanford's offense actually be good this year? Can they actually take care of business? Because to be fair, they were decent at home last year offensively, averaged almost 25 points per game, whereas on the road, they averaged like 13 points per game. So definitely get a boost from that. But they were up and down and up and down and up and down. Hawaii's defense last year, they had their moments. They also went up and down with a bunch of new faces. I'm curious how it is. The wide receiver room for Stanford, I will say, is one that I look at, and it's almost similar to Hawaii's. And the talent, you could definitely make the case of like, man, bunch of these different guys. I got 5 different guys written down here, and John Anthony Hall, Caden High, Nico Brown, David Pentelis, and Zion Robinson. All 5 of those guys feel like, from what I was reading, from what I was piecing together, all 5 of them feel like they could be high impact guys this season. Davis Warren, in fact, went as far during ACC media days to call Nico Brown, quote, a guy. And for tongue in cheek, but for anybody who doesn't know what that means, like he's referring, like he could be a dude for our offense, and he's a transfer in from Yale. He was Yale's leading receiver, had over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, whatever it may be. It's in the Ivy League though. How does he adjust to playing P4? How does he adjust playing FBS football? Because a reminder, it's FCS football in the Ivy League. So, how does he adjust? John Anthony Hall was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. His only game last year was against Hawaii. Played 10 snaps and didn't record a catch, and then didn't play the rest of the year. So he's basically got a mulligan on a freshman season. And then Caden High reportedly is injured, and he's the guy who might really break through. I don't know if he's going to miss this game, but I did see multiple Stanford outlets or Stanford coverage saying that there is some undisclosed injury that he has. So perhaps the only one who is looking or wondering, I should say, if they will be full strength in the wide receiver room come the start of the season. So it's one of those, you already have a bunch of question marks. You also have question marks about who's going to be out there. And that's why I talked earlier about you got to be able to shut down the run. You got to be able to make one-dimensional Stanford offense. It's just, that is the best route to victory for Hawaii, in my opinion. It's a big test.
I want them to win so bad, but at the same time, if they keep it under 10, I think you will not have to fly commercial on the way back if you can keep it under 10. That you lose, like that Hawaii loses by less than 10. I think, and again, we both hate using the term moral victories. A loss is a loss. This isn't a preseason. It goes on your record. It's a blemish. But I think, like, we don't want a Michigan thing, right, where it's like 50-something to 10, right?
No,
or even
that can't happen.
Or even like a UNLV road game last year where offense only puts up 10 points. Like, you cannot have those. If that's the only way you put up 10 points and you can still be happy if the final score is 13-10, then you're like, all right, well, at least it was kind of even. But if Hawaii gets blown out, then we'll be having a very different conversation on Monday. And I really hope we don't have to have that. But if it is a loss, and say it is where Hawaii like by a touchdown or somewhere around there, I think overall it would be, like you said, their defense is just that good at Stanford, and they were figuring things out. So if Hawaii can at least keep it respectable, keep it close, make it feel like it is a game throughout majority of the time, like, I think it will still be a positive conversation that we will be having here on Monday. But if it ends up what we don't want to see, despite it being a road game, you can't use that as an excuse, especially when we talk about charter flights. Like, you're going up there in style, you're comfortable.
At the end of the day, you also just have to win road games at some point. You don't get the built-in excuse forever.
If you get to the college football playoff, guess what? It's going to be on the road, and you're going to need to, figure out how to win road games for sure.
I mean, listen, I understand that Hawaii is in the most unique situation in the country in that every single road game, you are flying absurd amounts. I totally get that. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you just can't use it as a crutch anymore. If you're supposed to be good, you're supposed to be good. This Hawaii team is supposed to be good. They have to prove that against Stanford. And to be fair, I think it's just way too easy. We've gotten used to thinking Stanford sucks because they haven't made a bowl since 2018, and like the program has kind of fallen off in the NIL era and whatever. But at the end of the day, they are also actively trying to get better, get back into the conversation. They have the defending national runner-ups as their next week game after this. And, maybe Stanford does come out and they win by double digits and it feels really, really bad. And we're like, damn, dude. But then maybe Stanford comes out the next week and they really either put a scare into Miami or they straight up beat Miami. Then all of a sudden that loss looks a little bit different. That conversation is a little bit different as well. So I don't want to sit here and judge Stanford off of the past fully the same way I don't think you should judge Hawaii off the past fully. You have to take everything into account here. And that's why it's like, I am confident that Hawaii can win this game. But I think you would be stupid. I think it's naive to think that this is just a layup victory for Hawaii because they're going against a worse P4 team, or on paper, a worse P4 team than a top 25 squad. Because all that matters is what you do on the football field. And to be fair, I do think this team, this Hawaii unit, has done a very nice job for the most part, at least audibly, blocking out the noise. Because I don't think they are naive to what the expectations are on the outside.
Of course not.
But every answer we got yesterday was, we are focused on one game at a time. We are focused on the direct thing in front of us. We are focused on taking care of business. And that does give me confidence because they showed that they have the ability to do that last year a lot of times. And if they do that, there is enough talent on this Hawaii squad. Timmy Chang has grown enough as a fifth-year head coach now where you should be able to beat a first-year coach who is just getting his feet wet.
Speaking of what was said yesterday, I'm glad you brought that up because I mentioned it in the beginning of the show that we were going to let everybody hear from head coach Timmy Chang and what he did have to say to the media yesterday. And we were up against the clock, but here it is. We'll let you hear what Coach Timmy had to tell the media now that it is game week and they're fully prepared. They did. I want to make sure we mention that as well. They did practice off campus, practiced at Iolani yesterday to actually practice on grass because that's something else to point out at the farm. It is pure grass at Stanford, so they are fully prepping to, the surface. All of that stuff needs to be taken into account when you prepare for these football games. So they were out there trying to get acclimated because grass and turf are completely different things. Make sure they're wearing the right spikes. That's my biggest pet peeve is when everyone's sliding all over the place on grass. But anyways, here is what Coach Timmy Chang had to tell the media yesterday. And yeah.
All right, game week, what was the benefit of going over to Iolani?
Just getting on grass, just filling out the grass, making sure we know how to do our fundamentals and technique, better, and just get ready for our first game with Stanford.
Can you describe now year 5 for you, just what goes into this now switch that you have to flick here as you get into game week? You're into the install specific for your opponent and just kind of what that vibe changes?
Sure.
Like?
There's definitely a sense of urgency, excitement, whether you're coaching or you're playing, you still get all those good juices and that good feel. And so, it's a different focus, and it's a bone time. So these guys, really got to dial in. We got to be sharp as coaches. We got to be sharp with our fundamentals and our technique, and go out there and execute it.
What's one of the few things you want to see, especially when the team gets to the board?
I just want to see execution. I think that's the biggest thing. To going into the first game, there's a lot of, just a lot of unknowns. But we got to revert back to what we know to do, what we practice to do for a year now, and as a team. So I just want them to go out there and execute, and then handle anything that comes. Whether it's good, whether it's something that we didn't do well, but go to the next play and try to string enough plays together and limit mistakes to give us a chance to go win.
Coach, there's been a lot of talk around the program going into this season. Preseason accolades for Micah and other players. How exciting is it to finally just have a time to just put it on? Talk is talk, and now it's time to go out and start things off.
No, I just think the guys, they put themselves in position to succeed, and so they worked really hard, and proud of how they worked. But now it's time to go and execute and go have fun, but go put ourselves in a position to go win these games.
It seems camp you really took over a lot of coaching too. I think you helped a lot with special teams. You helped with the running backs and blocking and everything. Why such more involvement in the offense?
No, I think I think I started off as an assistant, and I like just have my input on things. If I see that we need to just get better at something, or maybe we just need to clean something up, we're just all going to be a part of it. I think that's what I love about our staff. I think there's just guys that we can work. We work well together, and just an understanding. I will say stuff, and the coordinators will say stuff. The assistant coaches will say stuff. They'll give me info back, and so it allows us to just function. And really, all we're trying to do is put our guys in the best situation possible.
There's some mysteries schematically with the new coaching staff over at Stanford. How do you prepare for an opener like this?
I think you prepare for everything, and then you adjust as it goes and as we see it, and we just understand what they're trying to do to us. But really, it comes down to us just doing the football's football. We got to go block, we got to tackle, we got to throw the ball, we got to catch the ball, we got to run. We got to do the simple things, and we got to not make mistakes. And I think that's the name of the game.
Significance of two Polynesian head coaches in this game. How much pride do you take in that?
Yeah, I've known Tavita for a long time now. He's always been a great straight-up guy. That great coach, great player, and all the respect to him and what he's done. And they're trying to build something where they know what it looks like, very similar to what we are trying to build here. And so I'm happy for him to just get the opportunity, and we look forward to the challenge. But what a great guy and what a great leader that Stanford has.
You're the first head coach here to reach his 5th year since June Jones, and so what does that type of longevity here mean to you?
I didn't know that, but my mentor is special. He's a special coach, and I'm glad to have played under him and learned under him, and continue to run his offense. So I'm very proud to now be back home and leading the program and having assistants that also have played under Coach Jones. And so really, we owe a lot to him, and it's an honor.
Observing what you saw today and just kind of what you feel with this team, how game ready is this team?
Yeah, you can feel their excitement. You can feel their energy. It starts with the leaders like Micah and Jemai and EP, and they'll get the both sides of the ball going, and so they have a sense of urgency about them, and then they help lead and direct the rest of the guys, and so we're starting to feel it.
Switch the preseason routine too. Looks like you gave you guys actual off days in the past. That's not what used to happen in preseason training. What made you go to that philosophy of emphasizing recovery as much as a preparation?
Our practices are pretty up tempo. We've hit a lot. We've practiced at a fast tempo pace. We've moved the guys and just recovering their body. Really, right now, it's just about getting their bodies ready to go for 12 games. That's what we're trying to do. And so these guys put in a lot of great work, and now it's really just about during the time we got to just go out there and go execute. And so we want their bodies fresh.
And that was University of Hawaii football head coach Timmy Chang and what he had to tell the media yesterday. I know we got to get out of here soon, but want to, whatever happens, our head coach is the best head coach because I want to share the fun story. I did have this prepared in here. I have a photo of it. I think it was Christian that took this photo, right? Shout out Christian Shimabuku for capturing this moment because Timmy Chang, I know that's Matt Chon in the foreground for those watching on YouTube, and I believe that's the new chancellor at the University of Hawaii. But in the background is Timmy Chang with baby Melly. So this was when we were out on the hot football field for the Hawaiian Airlines patch presentation, and Paul was recording the announcement and all of that stuff, and then baby Melly was starting to get a little fussy, and Timmy, unprompted on his own, goes and gets the stroller from Paul to put baby a little bit further and is like trying to entertain her there. So shout outs to Timmy Chang, really, as the head football coach. What head football coach does that? And I always want to emphasize when we see things like that by Coach Timmy, like we'll go do that for a media member. I always go back to as well, caddying for his quarterback at the Sony Open. Like, my gosh, like Timmy Chang, what an amazing human.
I'm going to try and keep it together during this. I do not take it for granted how lucky I am to be able to bring my daughter to a lot of these media events where there are other working people who very much so every single time are incredibly happy to see my daughter. Whether it's our colleagues in the media, whether it is the SIDs and all the media relations folks at UH, whether it's Matt Elliott himself or Timmy Chang, it is so special to me. And it's a little hard to fathom sometimes how incredibly kind and understanding people are. And like you said, unprompted, Mel's starting to whine a little bit because it was a hot day.
It was a hot day, and her fan went down.
Yeah, Dad did a bad job, did not charge the fan for long enough, I guess. And you know what? If Dad could have cried too, Dad probably would have started crying because it was getting a little bit warm. And I mean, within two of her little I'm looking back, and as I look up, Timmy has seeked out eye contact with me and saying, "Do you want me to take her? Do you want me to take her?" It was one of the most absurd things where in my mind, I'm like, you're the head football coach, right? You don't have to do this. You don't have to be this nice to me. You do not have to do any of it. And I appreciate it beyond words. I can't say thank you enough. Because it's really special to me to be able to share these moments with my daughter and still be able to do my job, by the way, while not having to find some daycare or find somebody to watch her for an hour. And it allows my wife to work and all these different things. So yeah, Timmy, as long as I'm here, man, and what I'm saying here, I mean, on this earth and even post, I mean, you always got a fan in me. There is no better human being than Timmy Chang, and I appreciate that great. And I do appreciate, like you said, Christian Shimabuku is There are a couple of special photos that I'll look back on when my time is, done. And I'll be like, man, I've had a really special time.
Oh, man, what a way to cap off and end this show. We started this show talking about an awesome person in Dolly Parton. Again, I wore my sparklies in honor of her today. And then giving our head coach, Timmy Chang, there all the attention and praise that he deserves just for being a good human. Now, we definitely want him to win football games, but
100%.
life is bigger than that. And so there's a message to you guys. Go out there. If you a smile, give them yours, and just go out and be a good human today. But now we got to go and be good humans as well. Hope you guys have a great day. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.
You're listening to the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming 24/7 at hawaiisportsradio.com and on the new Hawaii Sports Radio app.